In the United States, hair loss is an all too real, yet less talked about issue. August is National Hair Loss Awareness Month, and each year, this month highlights the need for us to be talking more about hair and the impact that hair can have on our lives. August is National Hair Loss Awareness Month. We invite you to join us for a live panel discussion Monday, August 1st, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This conversation was inspired by visionary Tamara Mackroy, entrepreneur and legislative liaison for the National Alopecia Areata Foundation. The panel discussion continues with Stacy L. Halton, founder and CEO of the Alopecia Queen Movement. LaDuana Jordan, advocate, educator, and therapist from Florida. Angela Cooper, author and designer from Texas, and Evangelist Angie BEE, founder of the Bold, Beautiful, and Bald Beauty Bazaar Weekend Retreat for Alopecia Awareness. Join us for this live panel discussion Monday, August 1st, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. Send an email to boldbeautiful.and bald@gmail.com for viewing options. We look forward to having this hair loss discussion with you.
Hair Loss Awareness Month conversation. How you doing, Pam?
Hey. Oh my gosh, we are here and we are going to talk hair. Hair, no hair.
Yeah, it's the first of the month, and I want to first thank you for bringing to my attention that August was National Hair Loss Awareness Month. Can you tell us?
Oh my gosh. So I was actually in a committee meeting and we were talking about, what are we going to do for this month's initiative? And every month we're doing some kind of outreach in the community. And I did a research just to Google what awareness is taking place in August. And when I saw hair loss, kind of put that in the pocket for myself. I was like, well, wait till I get to my alopecia peeps and we talk about what can we do with regards to this, right? So we know that September is Alopecia Awareness Month, but the month before that right there is major.
Yeah. And I started, looking up some of the scientific research and stuff out of different countries. And it consistently said that if people begin to lose hair, whether it regrows, whether it's out, whatever it is, it's going to start falling out in August. And I remember thinking it's just too darn hot to have hair in August, but I'm not the scientist, so I can't say what, when, and where. So,
Oh my gosh.
So tell us about Angela Cooper. I know that we know her from the Beauty Bazaar last year, but just give me some thoughts about her.
Oh my gosh, she is a phenomenal woman, such a strong woman, a woman of faith. She has a beautiful family, and I fell in love with her, of course, during our retreat last year, but just from that moment, we had a continued friendship that, kind of grew into a family ship, right? One of those kind of things. And so she comes and she brings it to you straight gut raw. And I likes those people, right? And so, just reaching out, like, who can we talk to about this? She was one of the first individuals that came to mind.
She really was. So I'm about to bring her on the screen so y'all can chat. Hey girl, hey girl, hey girl.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Here's my namesake.
How are you this evening?
I am well. I am excited and honored to be a part of this. I am just looking forward to learning something new and hopefully giving something, in return. I'm excited.
Absolutely, absolutely. Angie, I'll let you go ahead and lead.
Now, Angela, Tam and I are in Florida. I'm in Daytona Beach. Tam's more Central Florida. Tell us what city and state you're in, sweetie.
I am in Garland, Texas, about 3 minutes from Dallas. I've been here 9 years, and I think I'm probably the only one on the panel that's not from Florida.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We got to figure out.
Jen is from New York, I believe. Yeah.
Jen came highly recommended by the Alopecian Queen. So
yes.
Bring her in so we can find out more. Hey, Jen.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Tell us about you. What city and state are you in?
I currently live in Nyack, New York. It's about 45 minutes north of the city. So, Miss Angela, you were correct. So good to see everyone. Thank you for having me on. This is a really special moment. Thank you.
Yeah, I know the conversation is going to get really good, but I'm wondering how many of us can relate to that August being Hair Loss Awareness Month. How many of us maybe started losing our hair in August, or just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. I would really like to talk about that later. And then I know we have someone on the road, so we may be able to hear from Jordan. But girl, how you doing?
Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Well, yes, I am truly on the road, but I could not miss this opportunity for anything in the world. Fresh off the plane, right into the car, right on the show. Hey, good evening, ladies, and thank you guys for having me. I'm super excited to be a guest on this particular panel. So let's talk hair loss.
All right.
Let's go.
Okay, let's see who we got. We got a comment from Debbie Quiones. She says, "Woo woo, Jen." Woo. I will put that up here. All right, so I guess we want to start off the conversation by giving our own personal definitions of our alopecia. I have alopecia areata, which meant I started losing my hair, little clumps, little spots. My hairdresser found the first spot in my head in my mid-20s. And hairdressers were very helpful back then. They'd see something and they'd say, well, I see something, so let's try to cover it up. But don't worry, girl, I'm not going to charge you. It's this new weave called a blue end. Back here, and I had a bang and everything until, we took it out later. And my mother was like, oh, baby, my 30th birthday. She was like, oh, baby, this is alopecia. I know because I have it. So over the years, I think all of our stories are about the same. More wigs, more money. And thank God for menopause that just cut all that out. So, Tam, why don't you tell us a little bit about your diagnosis and your journey?
Gosh, mine started in my 20s as well. And I inherited from my mom. My mom had it. My grandma had it. My aunt, who's still living, she has it, but theirs started in their 40s, 50s. And so it was like kind of thing. And just running through the gamut of different ways in which, I can mask it, right? And in the end, as levels of self-actualization started to take place, and I'm like, listen, I got to walk in this thing, it was actually a deterrent to my own mental health, You know what I mean? But I didn't want to be stigmatized
Right.
as, a bald-headed, dark skin, talk about colorism, right? And I'm chunky, and back then I had a gap. So it was like all the kind of things, that I did to try to blend in. And after talking to Jesus, God was like, we could get you some braces and you can get you a gym membership. Baby, that hair's gonna go. Just look, listen.
Yeah.
So and it's been relieving since then. It's been very therapeutic.
Praise God. Praise
Mhm.
God. Angela, what saith you, dear? Tell us.
And, my hair started falling out in my mid 20s. I was right at turning 26, and my diagnosis, I didn't get my actual dermatologist diagnosis until 2018. I have folliculitis, the Calvins, and
Mm,
they say that it's hereditary, that the hair does not grow back. I only lost it in my head. I have not lost any body hair or anything. So, but just making the transition to shave all the hair off was like the best thing I ever did, because it was a weight that was lifted off of me, in the process of it. So that's and the men I noticed in my family have it. There's no other woman that I know in my family that has it. Only the men. So I will be that one that kind of gets it. Yeah. So
that
that's
makes you unique, sweetie. Makes you unique. Mhm. Jordan,
yes.
I know when I come to you, I want you to talk about some of the mental health aspect of it. Before we get to you, Jordan, Jen, would you like to share briefly about your diagnoses and where you are?
Yeah, I was actually diagnosed with alopecia areata when I was 5 years old, so I was very young. And I grew up with my hair falling out and growing back in the coin size patches that are um that's very common with alopecia areata. And I had that all through my life growing up, and then in my mid 20s, around 25, I started to develop alopecia universalis, which means I have nothing.
Mhm.
So I mean, I'm low maintenance now, so that's one good thing.
Yeah.
um, but for me, for my personal journey, a phrase I've come to that I've heard recently from a fellow alopecian that was in People magazine, a well-known actor. I forget his name at the moment. He said that alopecia makes you go through radical acceptance, and I feel that is so very true because of the journey that any alopecian goes through mentally, physically, because it's such a radical change. You are forced to come to a new level of acceptance that's just very different than what people would normally think acceptance of oneself is. That's not
Right.
very traumatic, if you will.
Correct. 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 I appreciate that. Okay, Jordan, if you are in a safe driving area and can hop on in, we'd love to hear about your diagnosis and maybe some of the mental aspect of hair loss. Uh, there you are. Yeah, Jordan, I think we can come back to you, baby. Yeah, hard.
She might be in a rough area.
Yeah. Okay, so my next question is for um, the panel. Do you think? Oh, Jordan, you there? Yeah, we lost
Oh no.
it. I know, because she comes from the mental health. I mean, Tam, can you share some of what you learned from Jordan and the whole mental health aspect of it?
Well, losing your hair is traumatizing for anyone, and as we well know, the alopecia does not discriminate. It doesn't care about your age, your race, or your gender, right? And so forth. And so just to speak, at a high level, because I'm not a mental health clinician,
Mhm.
we learn to find coping skills for living and dealing with alopecia, and sometimes they're healthy coping skills, and sometimes they're not.
Really?
Um, in the end, through a strong support group, support net, and your own personal higher power, I would like to say, right?
Yes.
You're able to endure. And so we know that in the alopecia community, that there's all types of people and they're all different phases of their journey. And so, we have a support group with the Central Florida Support Group, and we have folks that'll come in and they'll be in their wigs, and they feel comfortable enough that in the meeting they'll take it off, and when that meeting's over they put it back on and they do their 1-2 step out, and we applaud that, and we support and uplift them because that's where they are at. We have individuals that don't come out their hair hats, right? And once more, it's all about providing a level of understanding and a level of acceptance. And once more, the biggest word I want to say here is support. And what I love about where we're at right now in present day culture is that I feel like we're pioneers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we historically can pinpoint, where that transition has started to take a place
Right.
in society where it's become more accepted, right?
Right.
And so forth. And we can remember yesteryear when it wasn't. I mean, Jen, you're talking about adolescence, and all the things that you went through and at an early age and so forth. And us as adults enduring that in our mid-20s or whatever have you. So we know that, there's different levels to this, and there's different levels of stigmatization, you know what I mean, that we've all endured. And so this being August hair loss, we're just talking about anyone in general. I mean, there's the balding male pattern that takes place in different individuals and so forth. We do know in depth in which hair loss can spiral into.
That's for sure. And it looks like we have Jordan back, so I'm gonna try to bring her back in. Jordan, can you hear us? Because we want to hear from you, dear. Jordan, can you hear us? Nah, Jordan is riding, but hey, girl, can you hear us? Hey, Jordan. Okay, we're gonna do our best to see if we can get Jordan in here. It happens all the time, but while we try to do that, I do want to introduce you guys to just a few of the companies that were able to find this conversation important enough to sponsor it. Okay, so we'll be right back.
It's almost time, so get ready. My mind falling into beautiful. My body falling into beautiful. If you missed us in January, did you miss it? Did you miss it? Just breathe. You're invited. The RERC Incorporated presents 3 awesome days of discovering our beauty. My mind, my body, and my spirit. How does God define your beauty? How do you define your beauty? Join us Thursday, October 6th, 2022 for a day of prayer and words of wisdom. Friday, October 7th, 2022, there'll be shopping, workshops, and the Word. Saturday, October 8th, 2022, the Word, the Knowledge, the Fun, RERC, and Women by Design presents Falling into Beautiful at Omega Baptist Church, Dayton, Ohio. Did we mention shopping? New Attitude Boutique will be there Friday and Saturday. Early bird registration starts August 1st for only $25. All proceeds will benefit Girls Empowered and Mentored to Success Scholarship Fund. Reserve your space today at the RERCincorporated.org. Our girls graduate high school. For more information, send an email to the RERCincorporated@gmail.com. Reverend Dawn Martin says, I can't wait to see you. Beautiful. Promotional consideration for this event is sponsored in part by Angie BEE Production. I'm so thrilled that Reverend Dawn Martin recognizes that alopecians can be beautiful as well, and she wanted to extend an invitation to all of us to come to Dayton, Ohio for her upcoming conference. I'm excited about that. Also excited that Jackie Jordan is supporting tonight's broadcast. Milani and Friends is an excellent choice for children, parents, teachers, and caregivers. You can order Jackie Jordan's book at JackieJordansCorner.com. You can also send an email to author JackieJordan@gmail.com. A children's book for the times. This is a delightful children's book designed for parents, caregivers, and teachers to introduce self-esteem, self-love, celebrating differences, and embracing positive friendships to our youngest children. We cannot forget about our children. We absolutely cannot. And so I don't want you guys to forget why we're here tonight. We are here because Tam Mackroy said, hey, we've got to say, hey, because we understand people are going through things. And so, Tam, I want you to know that Stacy Halton is here. I'm asking Stacy to please put her contact information in the chat, and then I'll get her banner ready to go. But in the meantime, we do have Angela Cooper that's here. Hey, Ange. Hey, Ange. And we do have Jen. So I'm going to let you guys talk for just a second while I get Stacy together. And I'm thrilled to be here. I truly am.
Awesome. So, ladies, what were your initial thoughts when you heard about this panel discussion?
Go ahead, Angela.
I was going to say, go ahead. I was excited because I feel like alopecia is evolving so big, and I'm not going to say fast because I feel like it's at a steady pace, but I feel such a big growth with it. So I want to be a part of like every aspect of it, and I know I'm connected with some heavy hitters right now because Angie BEE, Stacy, Tam, Jen, I'm like, hey, I want to be a part of this. I was glad when Jen came on because I love hearing her talk. She is a woman of wisdom and knowledge. And Tam, you just phenomenal. Like, I love to hear you speak as well. And Angie BEE and Stacy are just like these alopecia giants to me. So I was honored, to be a part of this. This is really big. And I do feel like we are making history. And I don't want to miss it. So
come on now. Definitely. Jen, go ahead and weigh in.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I feel the same way about Angela, Stacy, you, anyone that I'm working with in the alopecia community, spreading awareness. And I didn't know that August was Hair Loss Awareness Month. So when that topic was brought to the table, I was like, oh, why aren't we talking about that too, along with Alopecia Awareness Month? It's just as important. And I second everything Angela said. Anything that we can do as alopecians to make, as Stacey would say, make alopecia a household name. That is the goal, to make it more known. And I do agree, there's like a steady pace that's happening with the awareness. We've had a few things in our community that kind of shot it up a little bit more. But it's got a lot of conversations going, and that's really where it starts, is having these conversations. It's bringing this more to the light and saying, you know, hey, here we are. This is what it is. These are our stories. And, you know, for anyone that listens, thank you for listening.
Absolutely. I want to close this little mini circuit out by saying, you know, what really inspired me to let's get this conversation going for hair loss month is that people are experiencing hair loss and they don't necessarily know what it is yet. You know what I mean? And so it's like, okay, well, let's have this discussion and let's bring to the forefront alopecia and some of the signs and some of the things that you can be looking for. You know, for me myself, going back when we were talking about the diagnoses and pieces and things like that, I remember, you know, having that coincided size and just grew and grew, and even having a biopsy done. You know what I mean? Just trying to figure out. Me too, you know what I mean? And I was like, you know, not yet, because my mom and like everybody, they older, you know what I mean? I was still young, and it was still, you know, having to come to terms with, you got this hair loss, and this is the diagnosis for it. And so what's more, I believe that this discussion, this is brilliant. Whoever thought of hair loss month in August, right before Alopecia Awareness Month, you know what I mean? Because it just helps with that smooth transition into this piece right here.
Right, right. Well, we're going to bring Stacy in because when we talk about queens in this movement, she is it. We're going to bring Jordan back. Hopefully, she'll be able to hear, and we're just going to have a free for all right now. Stacy, good to see you, dear. Good to see you.
Great day, everybody. How y'all doing?
Good.
Good.
It's so good to be a part of this. Like, I'm really, really excited just to be amongst beautiful queens like yourself. And I had no idea that this was National Hair Loss Month either. So happy National Hair Loss Month. People take over the entire calendar. Whatever one
Okay.
let's go ahead and keep adding it on. So let's just finish off the year strong. I'm really honored just to be a part among some beautiful queens. When I heard about the invitation, I was just like, yeah, this is the opportunity to speak about something such that is dear to my heart, and just to be an advocate is something that brings me joy, and it brings us together. The awareness piece is just something that continues, like Jennifer was saying, it continues to evolve, it continues to grow, and more people are being attached to this. And I think that's the most important thing, is just that it is becoming a household name because we're being able to identify with it, and it's becoming more common. And what that does, it makes the ones that are in hiding become more comfortable with speaking publicly. And we want to be able to affirm those women and men and tell them, hey, you don't have to suffer in silence anymore. Be a part of the game. Let's just get the awareness out there. So I'm just excited about the discussion.
Absolutely.
I know that we want to address the people, like Tam said, that are not yet diagnosed. They don't know what's going on. I also want us to address the people that are like, well, it ain't me. That alopecia ain't me. My hair is growing back, and they, got hairline back here. So I'm gonna point to Jordan, and hopefully she can hear us. Jordan, I wish I knew some sign language. Jordan having technical difficulties and can't hear us. Jordan. Yeah, okay, Jordan's there. But I'm gonna put Jordan's contact information up so y'all can get in touch with her. Jordan is our mental health advocate who really can bring all of this together for us. There are some folks that still, I don't know, they just don't want to look at it as alopecia. I guess there are some people that don't want to look at it as diabetes or high blood pressure or cancer. I'm related to somebody who's like, I ain't got high blood pressure. I'm just gonna work out until 3-4 years later, and then they had to get. So I guess there's always that denial process. Maybe we associate it with the grief process. Whether it's
Absolutely.
shock, and what do you say, Jim?
Yeah, no. No matter what the hair loss is, alopecia or not, or any other health conditions, when there is a significant loss like this, you do go through a grief process. I know for myself, I grieved for a year at least, when I realized I was going to lose everything, because it was not only the top of my head. I started losing an eyebrow, and then I started losing my lashes, because I remember thinking one day when I was coming out of work, I'm like, why is the sun so bright?
Right.
Why what is why, of all the, is the sky is that clear? Have we figured out the pollution problem? Why is
Yeah.
it so bright? Um so yeah, it's very natural to go through a grieving process, and that goes with anything that we lose in life that's very near and dear to us in any area. So yeah, you're definitely gonna grieve the loss of your hair, because it's also a part of your identity. You're losing a
Mhm.
part of yourself because you're changing so drastically. I know, like for me, just seeing hair coming out every day, everywhere on the bathroom floor, anywhere in the house, it's just staring right back at you. You can't help but grieve.
I called it a secret fear.
Oh,
A
yeah,
secret
yeah.
fear. I
That's it.
didn't want my family to see me weak in the beginning. And in secret, I was scared. I
Mm.
was scared because when I would go to sleep, I had made it a nervous condition. And I was scratching my sleep and wake up with bloody fingernails and bloody pillowcases.
Mhm.
And I never want my family, I'm the strong one of the house, of everybody. I never wanted them to see that weak side of me. So I kind of battle with my fears and, insecurities and depression. You know, it wasn't long, but I did have that period, like Jen was talking about the grieving period. I had that period. I knew I had to make a decision. I knew something had to give, the hair wasn't coming back. I knew in my Noah that that hair wasn't coming back. So I kind of went through that for several months, and then just the fact that I had only been married a short while, and I went through that insecurity of God, you finally blessed me with a husband, a good husband, and I'm losing my hair. That played with my mental. That played with my mental. And he was like, baby, I'm gonna love you regardless, whatever. But it did. I went through a season where I didn't know, it was kind of like a balance beam. I'm on a balance beam trying to figure out which, you know, what is what. So yeah, it was initially a hard season, but through prayer and through faith, I turned my weakness and my stress into faith and strength. So that I flopped that thing, and I got that prayer and you know even after receiving the word that my hair was going to grow back, I received a prophetic word, and I didn't doubt the word. I didn't doubt it, but I had to face my realities too. I said, God, if you going to grow my hair back longer and stronger, so be it. But if not, I'm fine with who I am because I know you live on the inside of me. At the
Come on.
end of the day, the great one lives on the inside of me, and I'm fine with whatever comes. It could be worse.
Yes. I hear the word denial in the air, right? And that's part of the grief that we went through with the actual realization, like I spending so much money. I remember once someone told me to get some oregano oil. So I got on Amazon. I got me some oregano oil and everything. And I remember someone was in the hallway in the office like, what does that smell? That's me, you know what I mean? Like just knowing that it's going to grow back, but constantly seeing that it was actually spreading. And then because of the fact I didn't want to let it completely go, right, the thought or concept of having hair, so I'm putting wigs and weaves, and now I got no edges, right, and in those stages of denial where just truly not being true to myself, it just started to fester, and it harbored any healthy self-love, you know what I mean, that was trying to blossom. It's like, a flower trying to grow out from underneath the cement and on a sidewalk kind of thing. And so where you're talking about grief, it was like, yeah. But before that, I went through some very, very high hurdles of denial. Completely didn't want no one to see me without a hair hat.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm still single, you know what I mean? But I'm at a point in life now where I'm like, look, God, when you bless me with that man, he gonna look. Would you say, Angie, this girdle comes off? You know what I mean?
Eyelashes come on,
Look, this is it.
eyebrows wash off.
Come on now, it's gonna be full throttle. This is raw grit and gut. You know.
Oh my God.
I agree with that. I love what you said.
Yeah.
You said just letting go of the fact that the hair might not grow back. I think that's the hugest part of it, because you don't want to let yourself down. And there's still that strong part of belief, of faith that we have as women of faith. It's just like, you believe God for the miracles and for the impossible. And I guess we have to also be able to understand that how he gives us the miracle is none of our business. And it's usually different than what we have in mind.
Yeah.
That when we're in this exchange of bargaining with God, we have to be okay with the letting go in order to receive what the miracle is. And in a lot of our cases, the miracle is the growth of confidence. Not necessarily the growth of hair, it's the growth of confidence. Our crown of confidence is actually what's growing and what's glowing in place of what was there. And it's just being fearless in order to walk in that is just, it takes another layer of just trusting in God and trusting in the fact that there's going to be something else on the other side of this. And so that's the journey that for me, getting there. And it's it's a huge step toward that, but then the reward that comes with it is you just really can't explain it. And when you start walking toward that trust, it, it's remarkable what happens from that. And the reward is people watching you from the outside saying, wow, she's got to be something in order to walk out the house like that. And in the meantime, you're just barely making it some days. Right. You just literally have to talk yourself out of having a huge, cry out session in your mirror.
Yeah.
And then you walk out and then people are like, wow. And it's just, that's the part that we have to push past, because that's the reward, is that we become these warriors. We become these women that are walking in our advocacy. We're billboards. We literally are walking billboards. And that's the part of it that we have to learn how to just ask God, just help me to walk in it as true and authentic as possible. But at the same time, understand that there's healing in that as well.
Wow.
If I could add to that, because I know with me personally, I think there was also a fear of, with my walk, like, well, if I accept this, then that means I'm not trusting God anymore, because his word talks about healing and how God does miraculous healing and what it teaches throughout the word. And then, learning to walk that out and live that. I was like, okay, well, wait, how does this actually apply to me? I think there's also that fear of, well, if I let go and let this happen, does that mean I'm stopping having faith and stop believing in the word and what it says and what I truly believe? So there's also that component as well.
And Jen, I want you to know exactly what you're saying has come to me a couple times, and I didn't understand it, but it was like ram in the bush.
Yeah.
And with Angela, she brought it back to me. That whole story that he had to take his son and sacrifice him, and he was going to do it by faith, but something else came up that he was then able to sacrifice. So when you talk about losing faith, or like Angela said, you don't believe, it's not exactly that. It's just God has given us something else to replace that. And I believe that's why we've evolved to be queens, what does Jamie Elmore call us? The ball bosses.
The ball boss.
All bosses.
Yes, it's a level of it's a new calling. It's in addition to what we've already been anointed to do, and unbeknownst to us, we have it all within us, and it's just starting to walk that thing out. You know what I mean? If we think about all the different platforms and avenues in which just us six collectively we're on, we're reaching the masses. You know what I mean? We're out here. This is just turned, spiritual. Praise the Lord. You know what I mean? But we're uplifting individuals, that may be going through so many different things. I mean, had we stayed, in our hair hats trying to blend in, you know what I mean? We wouldn't be able to help someone who may be on the verge of suicide. You know what I mean? Or, we're talking about our youth and the bullying that goes on. And there's so many different policies that, are trying to be pushed into legislation, you know what I mean, to kind of help circumvent different areas of life where people are having no hair and they still want to wear a wig. You know what I mean? We're talking about our children where, we know that children are pretty harsh and so forth and so on. So there's so many reasons why God has called us to carry out this line of work, and when I start putting things in perspective and so forth, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's go, let's do this. You know what I mean? And then once more, it's a part of our walk, our calling. When we're out there and we're doing we're talking about Jamie with the ball boss and then the parade that took place for Juneteenth. And we had folks cheering and hollering, go, go, ball boss, ball boss. And it was like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Once more, we're pioneering this thing as alopecians, because I literally can say anyone in Generation X, and before, you know from which we've come in this walk, especially for women being bald, you know what I mean? Because it's so typically your crown and your glory, this and that. But you know what? Our crown and our glory comes to us from someone different. And what that looks like in these present days and times is totally different from yesteryear. And that in itself is something beautiful and unique. It's so rewarding to be out here and talking to people in schools and you ladies have the clubhouse going on, and so forth. Angie and I mean, like, everyone's doing something. And once more, it's your calling. And had you not stepped into your fullness, you know what I mean? You ventured out, you wouldn't be doing that. And you know what? Shame on us.
I was
Before we go too much further, ladies and our audience, I want you guys to know a little bit more about Tam and what she's up to. Because she didn't just wake up and say, well, let's do a live panel discussion on hair loss. She's been doing some other stuff. So I got this little clip to show you right now.
Tam here, reaching back out to let you know we have another workshop coming up, and I am super excited about this one. Why, you ask? Because it's a double 2-for-1er. That's right, 2 workshops, 1 time. It's going down. Me and Miss Angie BEE herself, we're collaborating for this one, and so Angie is going to give you some jewels on time management. We're talking about organizational skills to help you be efficient and effective in your daily operations. This goes for single parents, for entrepreneurs, and everyone else in between. You want to make certain, in order to carry out God's will, we're doing kingdom work, that you have your right things in place to be able to do so. And then the other half of it is criminal exemptions. And so you have a criminal background record, felony, misdemeanor, you're a felon, so forth. Let us go ahead and provide you with some workarounds with regards to how you can, one, get a job, and or even open up your own healthcare type of agency. So we're talking about assisted living facilities, home healthcare agencies, and so forth. Just because you have a criminal record, it doesn't mean that it's the end. Let us go ahead and bless you with some of these jewels. Looking forward to seeing you then. Information for getting registered there on Eventbrite is at the bottom of your screen. See you.
Hey, ladies, and hey, Jordan. I'm trying to be sure your technical that we can hear. Can you hear us? Because we still can't hear you.
I'm trying. I'm trying. But in the meantime, I want to thank Volusia Businesswomen for streaming this broadcast on their YouTube page. So if you don't want to watch on Facebook, you can always go on YouTube and search for Volusia Businesswomen. If you're watching this and it is a replay, if you're not watching it on August 1st, then that would be considered a replay. Please put hashtag replay in the comment section and put your city and state or your country that you're in so that we know to be able to give you a shout out. Okay. This portion is your personal invitation to join us at the Bold, Beautiful, and Bald Beauty Bazaar for alopecia awareness. It takes place again in Daytona Beach, Florida. This is our sixth year. And you may be saying, well, wait a minute, the pandemic shut everybody down for a couple of years. Well, yeah, it did. But Jordan can attest to this. We were still able to gather safely for a weekend retreat in the midst of the pandemic because people were still hurting. People were still hurting from hair loss. And we definitely want to be able to help them as they go along this journey. So the weekend retreat agenda is posted on the website. You're welcome to join us. The website is boldbeautifulandbald.com. And be sure you ask for the Angie BEE retreat rate when you call to book your room. Okay. This program was sponsored in part by Lolo's social media promotion. Lolo's is blowing up your book, ministry, event, or business with content and comments. Please contact our social butterfly at larethapromotes@gmail.com. She offers affordable rates, payment plans, and of course, satisfied clients. We are excited about that. Now, before we get back into the discussion, I wanted to show you guys something that caused a lot of ruckus in the religious community. Tam, we had a lot of ruckus because religious folks were like, "What did you do to your head? What kind of foolishness?" And so, Angela, I know that because you are very creative, this probably looks beautiful to you. And Jen, I mean, and Stacy, I mean, we've just had folks that have just been like, "Why would you do that to your head?" Has anybody else had comments like that?
It's my version of getting my hair done. I love saying that at work and throwing people off like, what? You'll see when I come back on Monday. It'll be all clear because I've done this before. This is a henna crown. I love getting those.
I can just imagine the eyebrows being raised, getting your hair done.
Oh yeah.
Never.
I even make ball jokes at my own expense at work. It always throws everyone off, and it's so funny.
We can't hear you, Angie.
I said it's the best way to handle it. I tell you, I used to say, well, if I can get my hair done, I'm gonna get my nails done. I'm spend some, shout out to Tiffany Tyson Green who did my nails, But I really want us to talk about how we've been able to overcome some of the stares and the questions, because those answers may help someone who's still like, well, it's not alopecia. It just comes out or it comes back or First of all, we're not medical providers, but there are a whole lot of different versions of alopecia. So we want to welcome you to the alopecia community, but we're going to give you some of the ways that we've been able to handle the questions and the conversation. Stacy, you want to start with that one?
Yeah. Wow. So the looks and stares are something that we know comes along with the territory of just being us, and in the beginning for me, I remember the first day I went out publicly, as we say, come out, and Starbucks is my place of just to go and get my fix for the day. It's my place to just go in there and spend some time and alone. And so I was like, that's where I'm gonna go naturally. I didn't quite make it into the store. I actually did the drive-through experience because I was just like, what am I doing? But I remember just sitting in the drive-through because there's always a line in Starbucks. I don't care if it's inside or outside. You just get prepared for it. So I remember just sitting in the car, looking at myself, my reflection in the rearview mirror, right? Preparing myself for how I was going to speak. Like everything was in my head. I had my shades on, and I was just preparing myself. And I just like, you're doing this. You're going to do this, and this is the day. And so when I drove up to get my beverage and my snack, the barista, as we call him at Starbucks, was just like, "Oh wow, I love your shades," and I was like, "Thank you," And it was just as if I had a hair full of hair to her. It wasn't anything. So you get that, and then you get the fire extreme, which I've gotten before at minding my business at the grocery store, where I was stopped and someone was saying, "Oh, I like your haircut." I get that. Oh, you think this is a haircut? And the first couple of ways that I handle that it depends on the flow. It depends on where I'm at, but I always do a self check because I had an experience that I shared on Clubhouse where it was assumed because of my skin color that I didn't have any hair because I'm black, because black girls usually get alopecia. And so that question was kind of jarring to me, or that statement that you made was kind of jarring to me. And so you get those extremes. And so you have to be ready within yourself on how your response is going to be, not knowing where that person is coming from, but at the same time, even though we're the ones that have the diagnosis, we still have a responsibility to first be real to ourselves about it, and then to also say, yes, I'm representing myself, but I'm also representing a people. And so I might be the first representation of this diagnosis in human form to this person, in front of me. So I have to use some care, but at the same time, educate. And so we have to be real. Sometimes I have to be like, okay, get out of yourself, Stacey. This person is really genuinely being naive and asking this, do you have cancer? They really think that I do. And now I have to say, well, some women do have cancer and lose their hair to that due to, their the trauma of that, and doing, they're in remission and they lose their hair due to chemo. I said, but that's not my story. I said, I actually have alopecia. Then you have that. So I think we just have to be prepared. We have to be compassionate. And that's a real tough thing, because there's times where I feel like, if anything, you need to say, wow, what's going on with you, and be more sensitive. Sometimes we may not find that. We may be met with something else. So I just want to encourage the women that are just kind of contemplating coming out because of what they may face, that there's highs and lows to it, but your response is really depending on where you're at, and just be ready.
Now, I know that Angela had an outlet, which was poetry. And Angela, I don't know if you got a minute to share a couple of lines of your poetry. I love what Stacey is saying, that you've got to get it within yourself. Not necessarily how I got it, because, I dealt with it by eating chocolate.
I'm always ready to share.
Okay, so Angela dealt with it through poetry.
And this was fresh off the press this morning.
Okay, well, but just a second before you get started, I know Tam probably doesn't realize this because I haven't shared it, but Jordan is still having technical issues. She can't hear us. So she did leave a quick inspirational statement, and I'm going to have that at the bottom of the screen in just a few minutes. So I want that to stay there. Thank you, Jordan. And Angela, if you don't mind, give us a few lines of your latest poem.
All was not lost. It is well in my soul, even after the fallout, is what I had to keep telling myself. After nights of crying myself to sleep, God was the only one who saw me weep. Irritated, frustrated, wondering, and questioning what's wrong with me.
Mhm.
After trying all kinds of things on my scalp, some days I could barely take a nap without scratching until I seen blood in my nails and on my pillow from my scalp.
Mm-mm.
You just wanted a few lines. You want me to keep going?
Yeah, you might as well. It's getting good.
Listen.
Nerves were getting bad and I was secretly sad. I can't show my family and friends that I'm weak. Let's make it do what it do. It's just a part of you, is what I began to tell myself. Still partially accepting what's happening to me, praying that God will deliver me from me. I trust God, so I'm going to keep on waiting for the hair that I lost to grow because I received the word of prophecy that said it would grow longer than it was before. Not doubting the words that were spoken at all. I'm a woman of faith and I trust God with it all. But just like a balance beam, I went back and forth for some time in my mind, trying to figure out my next moves. It was finally time to falter under the stress and pressure or rise up and make the best out of a bad situation. I was tired of feeling like I was living a double life. It was just me, my mirror, and some scissors and God. I chose to trust God wholeheartedly with every aspect of me. No more tears from hair loss. I decided to just cut it all off. Out of my bathroom, I stepped after several minutes of staring at myself, sizing up my face and head. I came across my husband, and this is what he said. It is what it is. I
Yes.
love you regardless, and gave me a kiss. Moving forward to recent years, who ain't got no fears? Those tears and fears turned into faith and strength. I'm not proud of the hair loss, but I'm proud of the fact that when life throws you a bad hand, you get a glove and catch it and make the best of it. You make it work and make sense of it. I don't feel like I've lost anything. In all actuality, I've gained a whole lot of beautiful friends who look like me and you. I told y'all at the top of the story that all was not lost. I thought you knew.
Every time. Every time.
Yes. Come on now.
We hear you are the star on Clubhouse, Angela, with your poems. Girl,
Absolutely.
Always turns into a session.
I'm just the best.
Listen, that was food. You know what I mean? That was a level of nourishment. I just got some protein.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
okay, ladies, we've got I think 3 minutes left in the show before Donna Gray Banks starts with her fresh conversation show, and we do not want to miss that. She does it on Zoom, but we have a couple of questions that some folks sent in. One had to do with relationships and your baldness. When do you reveal that you're bald, or do you start out from the beginning? And another question was, how can I find a support group? So you guys think about the answers to that. We're going to show a couple of more quick announcements, and we'll be back with closing comments.
When it seemed like the world had stopped, as if our normal would never be again. Confinement Chronicles.
Still, there were those who held fast to hope. These are their stories. From teachers to dads to nurses on the front line, they have chronicled their messages of hope. Confinement Chronicles, now available. Order today on Amazon, also available in audiobook or at laderopress.com.
Confinement Chronicles.
if it wasn't for the Lord, who is always by my side. Hair loss, hair this, hair that, I tell you. So, Tam, before you bring the rest of your panel on, I really want to thank you for getting this started. And maybe we'll have time to do another one before Hair Loss Awareness Month ends. Hopefully,
That
we'll
would be amazing.
see. Angela, thank you for sharing your love and your poetry. We can't wait to see you at the Beauty Bazaar. So,
I'm
this
excited.
pink girl. Oh, we got something special for you and Sam, your love
Yeah.
husband. Because I know Barty loves having Sam around.
Yes, we can't wait.
Jen, it has been a pleasure to become associated with you and to become friends with you on Facebook. You are the encouragement that we look for when we hear that children have alopecia. We're always like, well, what do we do? We can't send them to school with a wig or a baseball cap or whatever. And so now I know that there's Jen, and I can say, well, let's get you guys connected. And
Thank you.
every time I feel like a lump of coal, I remember that I am an alopecia queen,
Yeah.
and I appreciate you. I truly, truly do. So we're gonna let Tam add her final comments for the evening, and we do have. Oh, we got another comment. As soon as possible, you should share your truths up front. Always. You're not going to hide who your kids are. They will expect you to be who you are. Better know initially than later on. So that's a response to the person who said, when do you reveal in your relationship? I get it. You need to get it out the way up front.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Once more, in these present days and times, it's all about walking in our truth. And that means that we are to be true to ourselves first. You know how they say on the airplane, put your oxygen mask on first, right? And so we have to do that for ourselves. And once more, this came to mind, just because not everyone knows about alopecia. They didn't hear the slap around the world, you know what I mean? Right? But, there are so many different individuals that are experiencing hair loss. And so, let this be a preface to what may or may not possibly take place, but it's actually a thing. It's called alopecia. And you know what? We want you to know, no matter what, whether you're able to mentally, emotionally, spiritually come out and walk around with a bald head,
Right.
woman, child, man, right? Or
Right.
if you're not fully there yet, either way, you have folks that are here. We will love on you, support you, and hold your hand through this all.
We will, because we've been there.
Yes. And speaking of support, I know the information was scrolling there on the bottom, but we actually have the Central Florida Alopecia Support Group, right? And this is something that's Jordan, she started back in 2019, and even through the pandemic, we kept swimming, right? So we had the virtual meetings, and we have quarterly meetings where we meet in person, and it's nothing like when a whole bunch of baldies get together. You know what I mean? The love, we caught up, we share stories, you know what I mean, and things to that effect. And so if there's anyone looking for a starter group, right? We would love to have you join even our Facebook group. We drop jewels. We are surpassing nuggets. These days, it's all about the jewels, right? And so we drop jewels. You're able to chime in, ask questions, once more, receive that hand-to-hand type of support that you may need. And it becomes like wraparound services. You know what I mean? If you're going through housing instability, we'll find you we'll help you, because that's what we do. Recovering begins in the community, and that's what we are. We're a community. It's not like you're boxed in and you're just all alone by yourself. Don't hesitate at all. We're waiting for you.
That is wonderful. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate you all. I'm excited, and I'm gonna leave it up to Tam, but I hope we get to do this again soon. Much love, everybody. Be blessed.
DJ Shaheem on the track.